Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton. Today I'm going to show you how to make strawberry mango jam. In this class you'll learn how to make and can strawberry mango jam. I'll lead you through the process step by step. I'll give you the recipe and the canning supply list that you can download and print out for future reference. You'll find those in your course materials. You will also gain the confidence you need to try more canning recipes on your own. My name is Rachel Paxton. I'm a freelance writer, mom of 5 children, ages 28 to 6. I've been canning for more than 20 years, and I'm also the owner of the website creativehomemaking.com. This is a picture of me and my husband Dave. We've been married for 20 years. These are 3 of our kids. Christian and Zachary are twins. They're 11, and Trenton just turned 7. We also have a 28-year-old daughter and a 26-year-old daughter. For this recipe, you're going to need 4½ cups of crushed strawberries and mangoes, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 5½ cups of sugar, and 1 box of powdered pectin. You'll also need a boiling water canner, a canning rack if you're using your own stock pot, a jar lifter, a wide mouth funnel, and 3-pint canning jars. This is what a boiling water canner looks like. If you don't already have one, you'll need to get one of these. They're about $30 on Amazon to get the whole kit that includes the accessories. There's a link to this in the supply list that's included in your course materials. If you would like to use your own stock pot to can, that's perfectly fine. You just need to make sure that there's enough room in the pan for there to be 1 inch of water above your jars. You also need a canning rack in the bottom of your pot. This comes in your boiling water canner, but you can also get them separately for about $10. And if you get this, then you can use your own stock pot to can. The important thing is to not have your jars sitting on the bottom of your pan because they can get too hot and crack. This is what a jar lifter looks like. A wide mouth funnel sits in your jar so you can pour food in your jars easily. First thing you want to do is fill your canner about 3/4 the way full with water and heat until boiling. Sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in the dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can do it in a pan of hot water on the stove. That works just as well, but it's easier to do it in the dishwasher. Then they're nice and hot and clean when you are ready to use them. You can reuse jars and rings when you're canning, but you cannot reuse lids. You'll have to use a new lid each time you can. First thing you want to do is slice and crush your berries that you're going to use for this recipe and the mangoes. It doesn't really matter how much strawberries and how much mangoes you want to use as long as the total is 4½ cups. So if you like mangoes more, you can add a few more mangoes, or if you like strawberries more, you can add a few more strawberries. And it's important that the total amount is crushed fruit and not the measurement before you crush it. So what you would do is put a layer of fruit in the bottom of your bowl and then crush it with a potato masher, and then add another layer and crush it until you have 4½ cups of crushed fruit. The mangoes are a little harder to crush than the strawberries, so you want it to be as ripe as possible and cut it into small pieces first, and then that'll help you mash it. And it's okay if you have some chunks in there, if you like chunks in your fruit. Just remember, however big the pieces are is how big the pieces are going to be in your jam. Next, you want to measure the lemon juice and place the crushed fruit and lemon juice in your stock pot. You can add a pinch of butter to help reduce the foaming. Next, stir in the powdered pectin and heat it until it's boiling, and then when you're stirring it, you don't want the boiling to stop. So if it's boiling and you stir it and it stops boiling, then you need to keep letting it boil until when you stir it, it does not stop boiling. So after that happens, you want to pour in the sugar all at once. It's important to put the sugar in all at once, mostly because it's easy to lose count of how much sugar you put in when you're measuring it cup by cup. So if you have it all measured in one place, then you don't have to worry about losing track of how much sugar you've put in. So dump your sugar in all at once, and again you want to heat it until it's boiling so much that it cannot be stirred down when you stir it. And then at this point you want to set the timer for 1 minute. Next, turn the heat off and take a metal spoon and skim off as much of the foam as you can. If you leave a little bit on there, it's okay. It won't hurt anything. You just don't want a bunch of foam in your jam. Next, use a ladle to ladle the jam into your sterilized jars, leaving 1/4 inch headspace. The headspace is the amount of space between the top of the jam and the top of the jar. It's important you have the right amount of headspace because your food will expand when it's heated, and if there's not enough room in the jar could explode. So your recipe should always tell you how much headspace to use, and in this case it's 1/4 inch. Next, wipe the rims of the jars with a damp paper towel or dish towel. This makes sure that your jars have a good seal. Place the rings and lids on the jars finger tight. Next, process the jars in the boiling water canner for 10 minutes. After you place the jars in the canner, make sure that there's 1 inch of water above the jars. If there's not enough water, you can add more water. Just don't set the timer until the water is boiling again. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you're going to need to process the jars for longer than 10 minutes. So if you live higher in elevation, make sure to check your altitude adjustment chart that's in your course materials. You can also download these free in lots of places on the internet. So just make sure you check that before you can. After the timer goes off, you need a jar lifter or tongs to remove the jars and set them on a towel on the kitchen counter to cool. Your jars will probably seal while they're in the canner, but if they don't, it can take 10 to 15 minutes for them to seal, so just let them sit. You can tell if the jar is sealed or not by pushing down the center of the lid with your finger, and if it goes down and up again, it is not sealed. And if it's just flat and doesn't move, then it is sealed. If it's not sealed, you can still eat it. Just put it in the refrigerator and use it up like you normally would. But if it's sealed, you could put it in a dark, cool place for 1 to 2 years or more. We really like the strawberry mango jam. It's a little bit different than the strawberry rhubarb or strawberry lemonade, but it's a nice variation of regular strawberry. And you can actually use this recipe for different fruit combinations if you wanted to add a different fruit instead of mango. As long as you have the 4½ cups of fruit, it should still turn out. So give this a try and see what you think.